What are you into now, Shanny? What kind of game? Who what?
Crossword puzzle.
Oh, I thought you said circles. I'm like, okay.
Nope.
Video settings for streaming on Streamlabs.
Welcome back to the Hammer Games YouTube channel. So you guys have been asking me a lot for specific videos, and one of the videos that you've been asking me for is a Streamlabs OBS setup video. Streaming settings, not recording. We can make a separate video when it comes to recording settings, but what this video is going to focus on is the best settings to start streaming with Streamlabs OBS. Now, I use OBS myself, but Streamlabs OBS, I have used it in the past, and it is a little bit easier to get into, especially if you are new to streaming and just getting into it. It's a little more user friendly. So figuring things out in there is going to be a lot easier. So without further ado, guys, let's jump in and learn how to stream with Streamlabs OBS. Okay, guys, so what we're going to do is open up the settings, go down each tab, and have everything filled out by the end. You should be ready to hit that go live button and start streaming. So let's go. So right here, down here at the left side, bottom of your Streamlabs desktop application, you're going to have your settings wheel. You're going to open that up. Right now, we're in the general tab. So nothing super important here in the general tab. One thing I do want to note, though, is that if you did use OBS in the past and you have some graphics and things that you want to import from there, you can import that right here using this OBS import button. Scrolling down, though, there is nothing important here that you need to worry about. Only use this if you're trying to import from OBS. Next tab over here, we have the Stream tab. So in the Stream tab, this is where it's a little bit different than OBS. You can do this in OBS, but it's a little bit more intuitive in Streamlabs OBS. So basically, if you want streaming on YouTube, you're going to hit connect right here next to YouTube, log into your YouTube account, and then boom, it's connected to your YouTube. No problem. You don't have to go find your stream key, none of that. Same goes for Facebook, Trovo, or Twitch. Just going to hit the connect button, log into your account. It's going to ask you to authorize the app to use it, and then you'll be connected, and you won't have to like input your stream key or any of the stuff that you used to have to do in the past. So it's pretty good. Next, we're going to hit up the output tab. So this is where we start doing some stuff, right? So when you first open this, you're probably going to be on the simple view up here. If you look at the output mode, you're going to want to change that to advanced for me. So under the streaming tab here, scrolling down, the main thing that's very important right here, obviously your audio track, you can input however many audio tracks you are using. You're going to want to use that number for your encoder.
For your encoder. But
A little bit easier to get into, especially if you are new to streaming and just getting into it. It's a little more user-friendly, so figuring things out in there is going to be a lot easier. So without further ado, in the general tab, one thing I do want to note, though, is that I ask you to authorize the app. When you first open this, you're probably going to be on the simple view up here. If you look at the output mode, you're going to want to change that to advanced for me. So under the streaming tab here, scrolling down, the main thing that's very important right here, obviously your audio track, you can input however many audio tracks you are using. You're going to want to use that number. For your encoder, this is where you're going to choose what encoder you're using to encode your stream. So for me, I use an NVIDIA graphics card. I use a 3080 Ti, so I'm using the NVIDIA encoder, which is the hardware NVENC new encoder. So if you're using an NVIDIA GPU, I would suggest using this. If not, you can go with the software encoder, which is X264, which uses your CPU's processing power to encode. So if you have a good CPU, I would say maybe an i5 or better, or like a beefy, like trillion core AMD CPU, you should be fine with that as well. No, like one of the standard, I would say the AMD equivalent to an i5 would be fine to use your X264 encoder if you want to use your CPU. But I'm using an NVIDIA GPU, so I'm using the NVENC new encoder right here. Rate control, we're going to keep that on CBR, and a good bit rate